Folks, welcome back to the Wild West Crypto Show. I'm Drew.
I'm Brent.
And we have with us, as we do every week, Jonathan Keim with the latest news from around the world, CryptoCurrencyWire. Jonathan, how are you doing, my friend? Good. We're doing well.
Just busy.
Yes, busy. It's good times. Listen, let's dive right into this. You got some great stories today. New matching engine from NASDAQ Market
Everything's
Technology
really good here, Drew. How about for you too?
Bitstamps tech on par with the world's top traditional exchanges. What's the impact of this? What's the meaning here?
So we're seeing ever rising levels of demand, and it's getting to a point where they need as robust of a system as TD Ameritrade or anyone else in the traditional finance world. So for those that don't know Bitstamp, they're the world's longest running crypto exchange and Europe's largest. Just to bring in a quote, this implementation gives the exchange a great foundation from which to build new features. So I think we're going to see some new things come down the line as well.
That's awesome. You know what's funny about this, Jonathan? Every one of these stories each week that is all talking about this infrastructure being built, talking about adoption of all these things, and now you get the world's longest running and largest exchange that is working with NASDAQ. This thing is going to go.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to see the hockey stick.
Well, and I'll tell you, the other thing you have to remember is NASDAQ has always been an electronically traded market. And so when they talk about the matching engine, it's the engine that matches the bids and the asks. And the New York Stock Exchange, American Stock Exchange, you have what you call a specialist, which is a guy that has a book. And it's actually a physical book. And they do matching here, and if you can come down to here, and they'll get somebody from the floor. And so it's a much more of a personality kind of driven market, where this is ching, 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 hammer, and putting it together. And like you said, Bitstamp needs that. We're getting more and more activity in crypto trading, and so we've got to be able to step up and be just in execution-wise, just like the big boys. Let's go to the next one. MasterCard launches digital currency kit for central banks. That kind of cracks me up, a digital currency kit. I mean, it's like, is it in a box and that kind of deal. So tell us what MasterCard's up to, because I'm sure it's a lot bigger than a box.
Yeah.
Right. So the official name of this kit is called the Central Bank Digital Currencies Testing Platform. I'm sure that just helps them accept it better, and it's actually working quite well. They're working with a number of central banks and even inviting some tech companies to join the testing platform. But what it allows is for central banks to issue digital versions of their currency in a controlled environment. That way they can test how well they can be, just plugged into the existing bank and payment networks, as well as gauge if they're practical enough for consumers to buy goods and services.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
What's interesting, Jonathan, MasterCard's been slow to this dance. Visa got into it a couple of years ago. And MasterCard, it's almost like they were like, we're not sure if it's going to be. All of a sudden, they're exploding into this marketplace and doing things like this.
Well, this may be an end run for MasterCard, because when you get right down to it, if you can go and dominate in these other countries and dominate with their central banks and allow them to have a foundation with which them to bring in their own digital currencies, start working with them, well, I can tell you what everybody in that country is going to do. They're going to use MasterCard. They're not going to use Visa.
Well, and Jonathan, this reminds me a little bit of a person that reminds me of my sons who were 13 months apart. And anytime they were going to go do something dangerous, my older son would always push Josh, with the younger son, out first to see where he may get hurt or what the obstacles were, so that Jason could. MasterCard kind of did that to Visa.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
It's like the line in a John Wayne movie where Dean Martin was complaining about always being kicked out of the hayloft, And why'd you do that? John Wayne says, because you bounced so well. So anyway, all right.
All right, next one here. This is huge, Jonathan. Warren Buffett, and of course everybody follows Buffett. Buffett dumps Wells Fargo stock, amplifying the bull case for gold and Bitcoin. Give us a deep dive into that, because that's big news.
Sure thing. So I'll go a little deeper on this one. As we just heard, banks may be working on catching up, but Buffett doesn't seem to be waiting around. And this really wasn't a small move. He sold 100 million shares. And as we all know by now, he's interested in gold for the first time. And with gold and crypto correlating so closely since the recent March 2020 crash, we have to ask ourselves if Buffett will be buying into crypto next. It really seems like a logical next step. Max Kaiser recently pointed out that Buffett's move into Japan, along with his gold investment, confirms he's getting out of the USD bigly.
Bigly. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, go big or go home. And
Yeah.
he obviously went home with 100 million shares to get out of Wells Fargo. You know, the interesting thing, I saw an interview by Buffett the other day because, you know, he had dinner with the crypto guys. I forget the name of the guys that won the dinner.
Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, and he said, hey, enjoyed it. They were great guys. You know, they made a case for it. I just don't see the intrinsic value in it yet. And I'll tell you what, apparently he didn't see the intrinsic value in Wells Fargo either, and that was a stock.
Yeah.
And so I would be willing to bet before Warren checks out, he's going to own some Bitcoin.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Jonathan, great stories. Love that last one about Buffett because, like you mentioned, you know, he's gotten into gold stocks and all that. Folks, follow the winners. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jonathan, thank you so much. Always great stuff. Thank you for this week, and we'll see you next week.